level you want, conceptual level, logical level, and component level, that it all depends on that. So that's the one reason why it's hard. Now, another complexity is technical aspect of IAM. There are many type of users. Internal users, employee, contractors, and under contractors, there might be full-time contractor, part-time contractor. Under employers, you will be having full-time, part-time, intern students, co-op student, field workers, contingent workers, so many different kind of user categories you can have, or use cases you can have. And these users connect to multiple devices. Laptops, mobile phones, rugged laptops. The field workers use rugged laptops sometime in utility companies. Different devices, different operating systems, and they can be, they can come from different network. They can come through cloud or internal LAN, and they connect to different application, application server, database service, and these users are changing all the time, right? This is a lot of complexity. And then on top of it, these users are changing all the time. They come and go. Access points are changing. Technology environment is changing. You might be thinking of managed service provider. You might be thinking of outsourcing. You might be thinking of taking a cloud application. Technology environment is changing. And then changing roles. People are moving in the same company from one role to another. And then I didn't add it. One thing here, which I should, regulations are changing, becoming more and more stringent. So we're in a constantly changing environment, and that is what makes it very, very hard. Now, next, why IAM program fails to deliver business value? Because IAM programs are difficult, and industry leaders always say, and we already, saw in that first slide where I was, the poll slide, where some of the folks said in the audience that their IAM program is not really very successful. Now, most common issue is that IAM program lacks relevant stakeholder representation. And if there is adequate representation, then the stakeholders are not engaged. There are a couple of reasons for that. One is that stakeholders don't get IAM because it's complex. And sometimes maybe stakeholders don't need to get complete IAM because to the level, like the technical level, because they just need to do the business. You just need to enable their business as an IAM leader. So they don't get IAM because it's complex and they don't have the full picture. You have not given the full picture. And the other reason is the IAM leaders have not tried to give the stakeholders a holistic view in a language that stakeholders understand. An HR leader would understand IAM differently than a technology leader. So that means there is a poor communication of the business value delivered by the proposed IAM program. And this is often compounded by a mistrust generated from past technology-focused implementations that didn't address business needs, and business all the time thinks, these guys don't get these technology leaders don't get our requirements, and they just go and do something, and therefore now we're not going through the technology team, and we're going to go and subscribe to our own cloud and whatnot. So basically what happens is we are now again creating silos just by not engaging our stakeholders properly in the way they should be. Another problem is IAM team is not solving the right problem. And IAM teams are pretty good. So I have worked with a lot of pretty technical, SMEs, my consultants while leading the identity and access management program. They're pretty technical, pretty smart people, but they are not necessarily business analysts. They are not necessarily strong business communicators. And the challenge is that sometimes they are the one who are often leading IAM programs. They might be solving technical problems. They might be inward facing into their issues, but they may not be looking out to the wider business and helping solve business problems and business challenges. And the best example I can give you is about movers. It's quite common for many organizations to struggle with movers use case, because when people move from one role to another role within a company, it's quite common for them to build them and collect piece of access over the years. and not have it removed as they change roles, the user change roles. And some organization buy an IGA tool thinking it will fix it, which it can fix, no doubt about it. Unfortunately, unless IAM leader agreed the principles and policy around movers with the business, it won't fix it. IGA won't fix it. Because you would need to ask your stakeholders, your business leaders, how would they want to handle movers? Does the business want to cut the access as soon as their person goes from one role to another? Or are they looking for an overlap? Maybe the business unit says, we have a regulatory requirement and we cannot, the person moves to another role in another business unit, cut the access. But another business unit might say, sorry, we have resourcing problem. We don't have any regulatory requirement. I would like this person to work 50-50. 50% here, 50% here for 1 month. Then you have to have a different policy for that business unit or that entire business unit or an entire team. So it means you can't decide on your own as an IAM team those policies. You really need to understand what business wants. And again, it goes back to the stakeholder engagement. Technology-centric focus is the same thing, we want to, and I've seen it, it's my experience of 17 years. How can we solve this problem? And I've seen technology leaders, security leaders automatically jumping on, okay, let's find out from Gartner or any other Forrester, which is a good tool. Forget the tool. What are you trying to solve? What is the business problem you're trying to solve? That's the first question. GV asked a question, what is IGA, please? Is it a tool? So identity governance administration is a capability which has people, process, technology. However, we have a tool, IGA tools. You would have heard about ForgeRock, Savient, SailPoint. They all have IGA tools. You need tools, certainly. You need tool to build all the capabilities. Like, for example, privilege access management, account management. You have CyberArk and Delinea and all those tools. Microsoft has this PIM tool. So yeah, I hope GV answers your question. Okay. Poor program governance. Many IAM programs fail since they don't have adequate governance model. And what governance does, it focuses on establishing a clear set of roles and responsibilities and processes for a decision-making body. Some programs may not have a cross-functional steering committee, no cross-functional operating committee, no clear ownership and responsibility for stakeholders, no clear governance how decision-making would flow. And I have seen IAM roadmaps, and the common pattern I see is the scope of the program is too big. The expectations are set too high with stakeholders and senior leaders. If you go and say to business that I'm building an IGA, let's say IGA, I am bringing an IGA tool, I'm building a capability, and in next year we'll have all automation put in there. Then that's a wrong expectation. That's a very wrong expectation, and business would not be happy because you would not be able to create full automation in 1 year, not at all. So it's extremely important to paint the picture for the business. And it's quite common for the IAM programs to use waterfall approach, where the business can only see the value at the end of the project, that in 12 months we will provide you this. And I wouldn't say that we can use completely agile approach in the IAM projects, because IAM projects, we should use waterfall plus agile, both approaches together, mix those up. But we have to show incremental business value. And okay, I have a question from BE. What does cross-functional means? Means, for example, in a steering committee, if it's a B2E use case, then you should have, in IAM program steering committee, you must have HR, human resources, part of that's a cross-functional, right? And then if you're talking about B2C use case, so as an IAM program steering committee, I would have HR, I would have digital team, I would have cloud, VPs, all the VPs in that area, senior leaders in the steering committee. I hope that helps. Now, what happens if we don't do all this? The result is failure to deliver business value. And that's how the IAM programs are not successful. They're not delivering business value. Started project for 12 months or 8 months, and now again, the budget is complete. Like we have consumed all the budget, but we haven't been able to deliver business value. And then again, we're going to steering committee asking to post, we are rescheduling the dates, and the work is not done because of this reason, this reason, this reason. And then what happens? The management gets fed up, and then they ask one of the big fours to come and to help out, to get us out of the mess. But we didn't do foundation or fundamental pieces at the first time, and that's why we are there where we are. Now let's do an exercise. It's a fun one. You have been hired as a CISO or IAM leader in our organization. Now, IAM is not a good state and is impacting employee and customer user experience, operational effectiveness, and security. What first step would you take to fix the IAM state? Write in the chat. Think about it and write in the chat. I'm waiting for your answers. Okay, let me read the comments. Okay, so find out what the business goals and objectives are first. Great answers so far. Great answers. Yeah. Excellent, excellent. Keep it coming. Pull in all the stakeholders. Okay. I like it. Role-based setup after understanding the current situation. Okay. Okay. Gather information on current situation. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Keep coming, your thoughts. Yeah. So whoever is saying assessment, current state assessment, that is so, so important. And all other your answers can fit into that current state assessment where you're saying, understand what business wants, what the business requirement is. So if I was a leader coming to a company, coming to a company to do a, and the IAM state is not good, the first and foremost thing would be to start with IAM current state assessment, right? But the most important thing would be when you are doing that current state, when you are preparing for that current state assessment, you also start engaging your stakeholders. Because for that IAM current state assessment, who will tell you what the problems are? Who will tell you what the business requirements are? Who will tell you about the pain points? It will be all those people. It's all those people who are, sorry, I'm reading some information here. So all those folks who have pain points, the stakeholders, they will be talking about their issues, their pain points, and they will help you with the IAM current state assessment, right? That you have to baseline your assessment. And I would, and my next question is, so let me see the comments. Gather information. Action plan. Great. EB, GV, RL, excellent. Like I'm not saying everyone's name, but great answers. Thank you for that. With an action plan. Great. So action plan, EB, certainly, but again, first, what a baseline the environment. That's very important. And that I think your all answers are right on. Now I have the same question. How would you set the scope of the IAM current state assessment? If you let's say you want to do current state assessment, now you hire someone, or however you do, how would you set the scope of the IAM current state assessment? Because you have to give somebody who will do the assessment, or even if you will do the assessment, you have to set the scope. How would you do that? So GV, you are saying once we have scope, identify how they're currently logging in or current state, and then gaps and room for improvement. Okay. Okay, maybe I can answer, I'll see what your thoughts are. How would you set the scope of the IAM current state assessment? Use cases. Excellent use cases. Need analysis, use cases. Okay. Compare against an appropriate baseline and framework. Okay. Keep it coming. Based on risk identified with the gaps. Excellent. Great. Based on risk identified with the gaps. That's a good one. Compare against an appropriate framework, yeah? Exactly. Set scope AV, that makes sense. MVP, minimum value, okay. Identified gaps and practice. Excellent. So that is how you will set the scope of the IAM current state assessment. So if I had to answer this is how I will answer this, right? Because when I am doing a current state assessment, I have to set the scope of the IAM assessment, right? So when I'm asking you this question, what I'm asking is, the scope would be, would I be focusing on B2E, B2B, B2C, or would I be focusing on only IGA, or privilege access management, or authentication authorization, all or three? So if I was to do an IAM current state assessment, and now another question I have from you, my scope will depend on what? What is that thing on which my scope will depend on? Maybe two pieces of information on which my scope will depend on. Okay, so I don't see any comment there. Maybe you all are still thinking. So if I have to do an IAM current state assessment, what is critical to business? So yes, maybe you're right. But what I was asking, so when I said to all of you, how would you set the scope of the IAM current assessment, right? Either you will hire a consultant to do it, or you will do it yourself, or you'll hire some other organization to do it. Now, the scope of the IAM current state assessment will depend upon how much time and budget you have. And that is how, based on time and budget you have, you will create the requirements for your IAM current state assessment. So let us say you just have very minimum budget, and you want to hire someone external third party, then they will not agree to a big scope, because they'll say you have only this much money. Sorry, we can only do B2E. That's all. We cannot do entire use cases. We can only do IGA. We can focus on IGA. We'll not do PAM and authentication or access management. So always keep in mind, yes, cost and timeline, those are extremely important, because, but if I didn't have any problem with the money, then what I would do a current state assessment for 3 domains, all 3 domains. I will say to the consultant, scan or baseline my IGA space, PAM space, and authentication authorization across B2E, B2B, B2C. But then maybe I already have issues in the IGA space or a PAM space. So I'll say, I already know that there is a problem in PAM and IGA. So what you dig deeper into this and give me what exactly the if I can buy a tool and you can give me the requirements. So there are different ways you can slice this piece, or the different way you can skin the cat, I would say. But it all depends upon how much money you have, how much time do you have from your leadership to demonstrate success, how much appetite business has. If everybody's neck is on line that you need to solve the issue, then maybe you really have to scope it out. And then another question I was asking, what would be your approach for the assessment? The same question. So when I was talking about my approach, I was thinking, would you do it yourself? Would you hire a consultant? Would you do an RFP? So but again, it comes back to, and I don't want you to answer this basically. It will depend upon how much money and how much time do you have. Basically, it will depend upon the budget you have and what is the appetite level in terms of solving the issues. And all those things come into this mix. And that's what I want you to touch on. With that, let's move forward. Now, we talked about what IAM is. We talked about why should leaders care about IAM, where we talked about cloud and threat landscape, but not. Then we talked about what are the different use cases for IAM, B2E, B2B, B2C. And then we talked about what IAM is made of, like IGA, PAM, and authentication authorization. And then we talked about why IAM is hard. And then we talked about why IAM, what did we talk about? Why IAM programs fail, right? And now we are going to talk about how to get to a successful state. What are the things you need to do to reach to a successful state? The first and foremost, build an IAM program. Now, IAM program means packaging and governing IAM initiatives under a single program so that multiple IAM projects and business objectives can be managed simultaneously. And the IAM investment can be measured against a common roadmap and strategy, and value can be delivered to the business throughout the program lifecycle. And it helps we have to enable decision-making, create cross-functional steerco, cross-functional operating committee, so that they can be part of the IAM vision and they all can have a skin in the game. And so it's extremely critical that security leaders with responsibility for IAM manage these projects through a well-governed IAM program. And there are many still who believe that major IAM initiatives can be deployed as a project. And some organizations do acquire and deploy IAM technologies without setting up a formal IAM program. And I can tell you that's a classic recipe for failure. Now, why IAM program? I did talk about, but why IAM program? Now imagine for a moment that you are going to build your own house. Do you take a pile of bricks, just start mixing up the cement and start building walls? Of course you don't, but you could do that. And I'm pretty sure you won't like the result. One of the things you need before you start the process is you need a blueprint, a design, or something that will show you what it looks like when it's finished. And the information you need about things like where the walls will go, where the windows will go, where the front door goes, where the electrical and plumbing goes. At the end of the day, you need that blueprint to turn it into the dream house you're looking for. And an IAM program can help you build your end-to-end blueprint. And without one, I can guarantee you will struggle to build and deliver IAM capability aligned to the business requirement. Another thing I wanted to talk about is IAM balance. So the reason we should have an IAM program and cross-functional committee, because identity and access management is a balance between security and compliance, operational efficiency, and user experience. If you put too much security, user experience would be impacted. If you put too much emphasis on user experience, security will be impacted. Operational efficiency will be impacted. So there is an IAM balance one needs to always be aware of. A quick question for all of you. Which two of these are not the role of an IAM steering committee? It's not showing me anything yet. I don't know why. Oh, yeah. Okay. So you are saying the steering committee is to develop the architecture for IAM. So that's wrong because they are not the architects. Steering committee is leader. It's made of leaders, who are responsible for decision making, for budget, for sponsorship. So obviously they will not create the architecture. Provide financial oversight. Yes, provide. They are not there to provide updates to the IAM roadmap. No, they will not provide updates to the IAM roadmap. They are there to provide financial oversight. And if you would have said decision making, then I would have agreed to that too, because they are there for decision making too. But yes, I have given you one option, so you have gone with provide financial oversight, and that is correct. Provide financial oversight, and as part of provide financial oversight, they are doing decision making too. So that is the role of an IAM steering committee. They are not doing the roadmap. They are not. You can show them the roadmap. You can answer their questions, but they will not provide updates to the roadmap. That's project management, the IAM program manager, their responsibility. Now, actions for a successful IAM program. Now, first and foremost, I'm sure you would have guessed by now. No, that's the second slide. So make your business and technology strategy the anchor of your IAM program. When you're talking with your technology leaders, talk about your technology strategy, what IAM program we want to do in IAM program, that aligns to the technology strategy. But when you talk with the business leaders, talk about this organizational strategy, business strategy, and connect your IAM program to their business strategy. That is the anchor. Keep that anchor in mind always and always. Stakeholder engagement. So to be clear, this is not getting stakeholders on board with your idea and proposal, bringing them in a meeting saying, this is what we are doing. This is very much about really understanding your stakeholders and dovetailing with them so that you work together to deliver business value. And identity and access management, you have to always keep in mind, is there to support the business with the business goals. And usually the stakeholders are the best people to help articulate how to deliver business value. So your goal is to basically partner with the stakeholder to support the stakeholder deliver the value. Treat your IAM. JV is saying, wait, please. What's the reason, JV? If you have a question, put it there, please. Treat your IAM program as a business program, not an IT project. I've already made it clear. Create working groups. Give the stakeholders an opportunity or platform to make decisions on how the program will work. In other words, the stakeholders should have skin in the game. Your goals would be to understand what your stakeholders need and really to understand your IAM knowledge, what you can help with. You have to use your knowledge to understand that and to Find out those opportunities where you can really help the business, and then to build a list of needs and wants. And I just give you an example of list wants and needs. Stakeholders, HR need might be that all new hires should have timely access to the required resources, and their want will be maybe frictionless user experience. So you can have a success criteria defined. The chief compliance officer may say, I would want leavers access must be timely removed because I am being pressured to make sure I have to comply to a requirement. And then the want would be flexible reporting capability, right? So success criteria can be accurate and timely reporting on X% of users' access not removed. The CIO may say, I don't care. The biggest requirement I have is a cloud first policy. You should use cloud tool for this. The implementation and the want is that implementation must be completed in 2023 itself because of the budget issues and whatnot. So your success criteria is SaaS solution implementation completed in next week. Just to give you a very high level of idea how you, if you're a consultant, you can create needs and wants. If you're a leader, even you're talking to other business leaders, you can create needs and wants. Compelling vision. I wanted to talk about an economist. His name was Ludwig von Mises. He was an influential leader in the Austrian School of Economics. He wrote a book on size of human action. Now, Ludwig believed there are three requirements for humans to act: dissatisfaction with the present state of affairs, a vision of a better state, and belief that we can reach that better state. Or with just one of these requirements missing, people will not be engaged or will not act. And that goes with your stakeholders also. Once you got your stakeholder buy-in, then you should present them the vision of the future. Paint that picture, articulate what great looks like. If you're putting in automation, what does that look like at a very high level? What they will be able to do, put that in a business language. It still needs to be obtainable, not something that's just visionary. It literally is a bit like painting a picture, and help them know how you're going to get there. But the goal is to arrive at this shared vision, reflecting a consensus around the scope. So it is Ludwig von Mises. I can put it in the chat here. AV for you. Okay. Now, next is business-friendly roadmap. So an IAM roadmap, what is an IAM roadmap? It's a plan that provides a set of short and long-term activities required to build different capabilities with people, process, and technology. And the roadmap provides a mechanism to help forecast IAM capability progression, and it provides a framework to help plan and coordination implementation activities. A well-planned, phased approach will allow organizations to create quick wins, show incremental benefits to the business, and help build continued support and buy-in for the program. So now it doesn't mean you cannot add technical details. You can show where you will roll out MFA, where you will have just-in-time provisioning, where you will integrate how many applications to the IGA tool to create automation. And that can be your technical audience. However, it's extremely, extremely important for you to build that business-friendly roadmap where they say, with MFA, what's going to happen? With integrating these applications and IGA, that automation, how would it deliver value to the business? That's extremely important. Now, I wanted to talk about, so I am a SAPSA certified security architect, and this is one of my favorite certifications, which is SAPSA. I wanted to, it's not part of IAM, but being an architect at heart, I wanted to just talk about it here. So SAPSA has different views of different stakeholders who operate at different level within the organizations. And stakeholders have a different view because if they are positioned at a different viewpoint. A VP of HR has a different view of the business, whereas an analyst of HR has a different view of the business, right? HR analyst may be living and breathing a different pain point as opposed to VP HR, who may be living and breathing a different kind of a pain point in IAM context, right? They see the same business, but from a different angle. Imagine, if I have to give an analogy, imagine a valley landscape surrounded by hills. and the various stakeholders occupy position on various hilltops or even down by the river. They all see the same valley, but their view of it depends on their viewpoint. It's a good analogy for understanding how the different players will have different priorities, all of which need to be satisfied for everyone to be happy. You not only have to satisfy our HRIM analyst, HR analyst in B2B space or a hiring manager, you're also, you should be satisfying the pain points of VP of HR, right? Who may want to, who may have a requirement, the right to be forgotten, saying, can your tool enable right to be forgotten? Or the VP of HR says, or the president of the company says, for the short long-term disability, when people go on long-term disability, or maybe the president or the senior leaders of the company says, we want to be more inclusive. We want to enhance the user experience. Our engagement survey said that users feel disconnected when they go on long-term disability leave. They do want to attend the town halls. For example, women who go on maternity leave, they feel isolated, that they don't have any news from the company, and they want to be part of the company at that time also. So they want to attend town halls, and they want to see the internet news, and they want to look at their inbox. Now, that's what the user wants. That's what the senior leadership wants, HR wants. And now, as a security person, security leader, CISO, you are saying, there's a clearly risk in that. If somebody's on a disability leave for 1 year, there's a risk in that. And there's a security risk, but there's also legal risk so get it from legal, but from security perspective, if they are doing something, there's a suspicious activity on there, not they are doing something. Let's say they gave away their credentials. Just they were browsing through some email in their inbox, they gave away their credentials. And there was an unauthorized access to their inbox, right? And now, because they are not all-time working, they're on a disability leave, now there might be a suspicious activity going on in their account. And our detective controls were not able to pick up, our technical controls were not able to pick up that activity. Now what? But now you have to satisfy. So this is a very good example of IAM balance I talked about, the balance between user experience and security. And how would you do that, right? CISO says there is a risk. So that's where you use risk management approach. You use risk sign-off. You use risk acceptance approach by the appropriate authority. Anyway, going back to the contextual, we have contextual layer, conceptual layer, logical layer, physical layer, component layer, and management layer. So contextual layer is, this is called the business view. It's a description of the business context in which your IAM system must be designed and operate. What does the business want? What is their vision? Where are they going? Are they going to acquire some companies in next 2 years? Like, what are they trying to do, right? Maybe there's a regulatory requirement by a VP of compliance saying right to be forgotten or something like that. So you have to really capture all that. And many enterprise architecture don't take this work seriously. Not even enterprise architecture, I would say, as part of the program, it's a shortcut. We don't need to understand. We already know the pain points. But that is an extremely important critical piece of work needs to be completed to know what business wants, what their requirements are. We go to conceptual layer. At this layer, we work with the conceptual abstraction of the business requirements, goals, objectives, etc. So, and that is where you define your strategy, because now you know what business wants. Now, how much budget do you have? What is your strategy? What is the scope? That's all. And you take, if there are any risks, you take a sign off here. This is a big milestone where you need to stop, draw breath, and reach consensus within different stakeholders and say, this is what now our roadmap looks like at a high strategic level, at a conceptual level. When we talk about logical architecture, we are going at the logical phase. Here we are talking about the logical security services, encryption service, authentication service, authorization service, privileged access management services. Here we are defining policies. We are talking about if we are going to use MFA, what MFA factors would we allow our company employees to use. We're not still talking about vendors and tools and technologies. We're still at the logical architecture. Then we go to the physical architecture. And here we are talking about security technical mechanisms. Again, uh, what policies do we want to use at the physical layer level? The component architecture is we're talking about tools and technologies and individuals involved in managing the risk to the enterprise. Like we're using at that level. Now we're talking about IGA tool. Which tool? We are talking about which vendor we are talking about. So now we're talking about vendors and their tools and their capabilities. And at the management architecture, this is one of the other critical layer which gets forgotten because it's a security management. Like this is a management and it cuts across all these layers. How would we would we operationalize this entire system which we have created as part of this architecture? So at the end of the day, I can build a beautiful and a solid architecture, but if it is not operated securely, then the architecture is incomplete and is a complete failure. Now, don't start your journey by choosing a technology solution. Don't ignore signs of discontent from stakeholders. Don't execute first and plan later. If action plan, you can identify your stakeholders in next week and get to know them. Next 30 days, engage and communicate with stakeholders, perform an IAM assessment, document the current state, their pain points, needs, and wants. And next 60 days, prioritize stakeholders' needs and wants and align with IAM strategy. Create a shared vision. So next 60 days, but first start with your stakeholders and then do that IAM assessment with the engagement and then create a roadmap and an action plan. So that's all for today. I will turn on my camera and ask you if you have any questions. Let me know if you would like me to add something to this course when I do it next time. What was your experience so far? Would love to know your feedback. I'm a big believer in the feedback, mechanism. I guess it works well. If you have put in a question, let me see if there are any questions. I don't think so. I don't know why I have this. Any questions? Okay, don't slide again. Sure, I can show you the don't slide again here. Do provide feedback of this course. I would really appreciate that. And I'm still here. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you, RW. Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. AB, thank you. I'm looking here on my monitor, so you may not see me looking at the camera. That's great. It's night at your side, have a good night. And if it's morning, then have a great rest of the day. Do join me on February 13th. If you think you will get value out of cybersecurity framework. I am planning on a course on IGA too. Once it comes into action, I'll let you know. With that, thank you. I hope you found value. Even if one of the folks in the audience found value, I think it was well worth for